Okay, we're now into the task part of this first portion. And in this case, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing the very basics of definition queries, but in the ArcPRO environment. And so remember that in this case, we have a group of tasks that we want to do. The first of which is to select the stream segments that are named rivers. So in other words, they have to have river at the end of their name. And then we're going to select a subset of states based on the field that is subregion, and we're going to be looking for the west north central, the west south central, the east north central, east south central, and then the mid-Atlantic. Okay? And then lastly, we're going to be looking for dams that have an identified construction date before 1911. Once we're done with that, we're going to export all those, so we're going to make them permanent. So let's get started. Okay, so what I've done is I've added, again, I'd like you to make sure you've downloaded the data for this week. And what we're going to be doing is we have three data sets that we're going to be using here. We're going to be using the states continental, the streams, stream systems continental, and the dams. And so let's start with our streams. And remember, in ArcPRO, we're going to right mouse click and properties, and we're going to select the definition query. And then what we're going to use is the add clause option. Now I'm going to do something at the end to show you the sequel for it, but let's hit the add clause. And in this case, again, I want where its name, because I want all the names that have the word river in them. And then I'm going to say includes. Okay? Includes would have values or contains the text. So I'm going to actually, I think because this is text, I'm going to use contains the text. And now here, what I'm going to type is river. Okay, so now I'm going to add that. And there is, now in this environment, you can check it. And it says, yep, it's valid. And now I'm going to set OK. And it's going to take a minute for it to draw, but now you'll notice that I only have those. I do want to go back to this, and I want to show you. You'll notice that now I have in my definition query, I have this thing right here that says, well, that's what I said. Now I can click right here to switch to a SQL mode, and I can see that again, like we talked about there, like the name, and then we have a wildcard, river, wildcard. Now if I wanted to make sure that there wasn't rivers, I could go back in here and edit out that end one, and that would make it just have river. But again, that's where we are. That's how we look at that. Okay, so we're good with that one. I'm going to close that. The next one I wanted you to do was the states, and I'm going to turn off the rivers for just a minute to speed up our drawing time. Same idea. I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to its properties, and in its definition query, I want its subregion. Okay. And now in here we can do a couple of different things. We can say includes the values. And now what I could do from here is, what this allows me to do is click on some. So I want east, north, central, east, south, central, mid-Atlantic, and then I want west, north, central, and west, south, central. Now I could do this also by using a like and the CEN portion. We can do it a couple different ways, but that's what I want, and I'm going to click OK now. And again, I'm going to validate it. Okay, we have add. Sorry, I didn't click that first. And then we're going to click on the validate it, and it says it's OK. Now, if I want to look at that again in SQL, I'm simply going to click on that. Subregion includes east, north, central, east, south, central, mid-Atlantic, west, north, central, west, south, central. I'm going to hit OK. And now I have my subset. In dams, we do okay, the last of our queries is a little more complicated, and it shows one of the shortcomings of the kind of that interactive querying, getting out of the SQL or SQL environment. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to explain why. You'll notice that I'm going to use definition query, and I'm going to add a clause. And what I want to be able to say is less than. And so you'll notice if I go here that I don't, if I go in first, I can say is less than. I'm going to put in less than. But now if I go back to this, you'll notice that when I go now to years, years completed, because it's thinking of it in text, it doesn't give me the less than or greater than, even though that does work in SQL. Okay, but it knocks us out of that. So what I end up doing here is I tend to put in the equal sign first, and then I'm going to go in here and put in my 1911 because I know that that's what I need. And then I'm going to add a second clause. And in this case, I'm going to say I want it not to be, and I got to go back to my years, year completed. Oops. Years completed is not equal to, and in this case, that null, or that it isn't a null, it's an empty field. So now I've done that, and I'm going to click Add. So now I've got those two, but I know that this one isn't right. So I'm going to go back to SQL because I can edit it there. And what I need this one to say is less than. Years completed is in fact less than. So I'm going to type that in. And again, I'm going to check it, and it says, yep, it's fine. And so that's while the normal environment doesn't allow you to do that, you can come into SQL and modify them. That's why knowing SQL a little bit really helps. So I'm going to click OK now. And now I have all the dams that I want. Now the last thing we're going to do, remember, is we want to export these because that's what makes them permanent. So I'm going to right click on dams, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to export the features. And again, in geoprocessing, it comes up here and it says copy features. It's going to think for just a moment. And I'm going to output this to, again, on my desktop. This will, by the way, go into our week 2 data, all applications, and I have a results folder here. And I'm going to simply call it this, because that's what I already did in another environment, and click Save and Run, and that'll make it permanent. So do that for each of the 3 of these, do a screen capture, and you are set. We'll see you in the next videos.